There was a time when Elena believed that confidence was something people were simply born with. She watched others speak easily in meetings, share their ideas without fear, and stand in front of a crowd as if it was the most natural thing in the world. But for Elena, public speaking felt like a mountain she was afraid to climb. At 32 years old, Elena was a hardworking professional who was good at what she did. She had knowledge, creativity, and valuable ideas, but whenever she had to speak in front of people, fear would take over. Her heart would beat faster, her hands would feel uncomfortable, and her mind would suddenly question everything she wanted to say. One morning, Elena stood outside a conference room with her presentation notes in her hands. She looked at the door in front of her and felt a familiar nervous feeling. Inside that room were her coworkers, waiting for her to share her ideas. She knew she had prepared well, but the thought of everyone looking at her made her uncomfortable. Before the meeting started, Elena sat at her desk reviewing her presentation slides again and again. She checked her notes, practiced her words silently, and wondered if she would make a mistake. She wanted to do well, but her fear often became louder than her confidence. As she walked through the office carrying her presentation materials, Elena kept repeating her main points in her mind. She wanted to feel ready, but she also realized that preparation alone would not remove her fear. She needed to learn how to believe in herself. During her lunch break, Elena found a quiet place in the office to practice. She read through her notes, practiced her gestures, and tried to imagine herself speaking confidently. It was difficult at first, but she reminded herself that improvement takes time. Later, Elena spoke with her coworker Rachel, who noticed how worried she was. Rachel reminded her that everyone feels nervous sometimes. She told Elena that being afraid did not mean she was incapable. It simply meant she was stepping outside her comfort zone. That evening, Elena decided to practice differently. Instead of only reading her notes, she stood in front of a mirror and practiced speaking naturally. She watched her body language, worked on her voice, and slowly became more comfortable seeing herself as a confident speaker. The next day, Elena joined a small practice session with her team. She was still nervous, but she noticed something important. The more she practiced, the less powerful her fear became. She did not need to be perfect. She only needed to communicate clearly. After each practice session, Elena reflected on her progress. She started noticing small improvements. She was making better eye contact, speaking more clearly, and feeling less worried about what others thought. Then came the day of her important presentation. Elena arrived at work knowing that she still felt nervous, but this time she carried herself differently. She walked into the office with determination, reminding herself that fear did not have to control her. When she entered the conference room, Elena stood in front of her coworkers and began speaking. Her voice was slightly nervous at first, but she continued. Slowly, she became more comfortable. She explained her ideas, answered questions, and realized that the people listening were not waiting for her to fail. They were simply there to hear what she had to say. As the presentation continued, Elena became more confident. She noticed that she was no longer focusing on her fear. Instead, she was focused on sharing her message. When she finished, her coworkers applauded. Elena felt a wave of relief and happiness. She realized that the biggest challenge had never been the audience. The biggest challenge had been the doubt she carried inside herself. After leaving the meeting room, Elena walked through the office feeling lighter. She was proud because she had done something she once believed was impossible. Later that day, she sat at a quiet cafe and reflected on her experience. She wrote down her thoughts and realized that courage does not mean having no fear. Courage means choosing to move forward even when fear is present. Elena continued practicing and challenging herself. She began helping others who struggled with confidence because she understood how difficult the journey could feel. Over time, Elena became someone who could speak in meetings, share ideas, and encourage others. She discovered that confidence was not built in one big moment. It was built through small steps repeated every day. Her journey taught her that everyone has something valuable to say. Sometimes the only thing standing between a person and their potential is the fear holding them back. If you are afraid of speaking, starting something new, or stepping into an unfamiliar situation, remember Elena's story. You do not need to wait until you feel completely fearless. Start where you are, take one small step, and allow yourself to grow. Because confidence is not something you find overnight. It is something you build every time you choose to believe in yourself. Thank you for watching Orivelle Diaries TV. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more amazing stories every day.